Welcome to the Psychology Club podcast, brought to you by Vicente Martinez High School.
Hi, I'm Brianna Rubio. Welcome back to Psychology Club podcast. I'm Brianna, and today we're going to have a super special episode that equal parts heartwarming and plush. We're going to talk about preschoolers' emotional intelligence and a tool that is as cuddly as it is, powerful Kimochis. Joining us today is the amazing Samantha Hodges.
Hi.
A preschool teacher psychologist who uses Kimochis to help our youngest learners identify and express their feelings in meaningful ways. Whether you're into child psychology, early education, or just love a good stuffed animal with big feelings, this episode is just for you. Grab a cozy seat or a Kimochi if you have one, and let's dive into the world of social emotional learning, preschool style. Here I have Gavin, Mackenzie, and Michaela. And Miss Hodges.
Yes, hi. And if you guys all want to grab a Kimochi, one of the characters you can, they're behind on the shelf, just to have them out. That's Hero.
This is so cute.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to pass? Thank you. And there's Hugtopus. And there's Bella Rose. There's Clover. I don't know who else is over here. Oh, and a teddy bear.
Okay. Our first question for you today is, can you tell us a bit about what a typical day looks like for you as a preschool school psychologist?
Sure. What's fun about school psychology and preschool is it's different every day. So there's a lot of assessment. So there's a lot of one-on-one testing with kids and families, and it's very play-based. So when little ones are about ready to turn 3, they get referred over to us from their early start 0 to 3 services through Regional Center. Or sometimes parents will refer on their own, and we set up an assessment session with them, and we have a team assessment with the psychologist, the speech therapist, one of the teachers, sometimes the occupational therapist and physical therapist, and the family and the child. And we have usually a 2-hour session where we're all playing with the kids and asking the parents different interview questions. We might go to the motor room, we might go on the playground to see how they can access physically their education. So assessment is a big part of it. Mm-hmm. And then a lot of time is spent then scoring all those assessments and analyzing them and writing endless reports. So that's a bulk of school psychology. But I feel like I've been lucky enough to be trained in Kimochis, which I love. And so I think each school psychologist kind of has to develop their area of passion, and then you can put that forth into whatever you're doing. And I love the Kimochis. I love the social emotional curriculum. And so each school district that I've worked in, I brought Kimochis with me and introduced it and kind of worked that into my job. And the benefits are amazing. So we test kids when they first come in, and then we also assess them before they go to TK or kindergarten. So we're doing a reassessment. And this year is the first year that I've had almost every single parent, when I have them fill out an updated developmental history, they write that their child's strengths are their social emotional skills. And some of the kids come in nonverbal. So that's how I know it's working. It's amazing. And you saw, we just did a lesson, so you saw the kids respond to it. But so my day is a lot of testing, a lot of report writing, but then I also get to do the social emotional groups. And I think as a school psychologist, you can do as much or as little as you want. And I like to do a lot. So I really love doing the social skills in the classrooms. I like doing it in the small groups. For a while here in Martinez, 1 day a week of my job was going into all the general education, TK, and kindergarten classes, doing Kimochis in those classes and training the teachers, the gen ed teachers. And that was through some special funding for transitional kindergarten, which ended this year. But I'm still going to do Kimochis in preschool. So also a big part is taking behavioral data and writing behavior plans as well, and supporting the kids and the teachers in the classroom on how to help kids with any trauma-related or any type of behaviors that are coming out in the classroom.
For those who might not know Kimochis, what exactly are Kimochis, and how did you first get introduced to them?
Oh, that's a good question. So Kimochis is a trauma-informed, research-based social emotional curriculum, and it is for, there's 2 different levels. There's an early childhood, and then there's also an elementary level. And it was created by a speech therapist, and I discovered it a little bit by accident, actually. we had some of the Kimochis characters in a closet in a district I worked in prior to this district. And I was like, what are these? These look fun. And I looked it up and found a training, and I went to a Kimochis training and started implementing it in the preschool. And then we all loved it as a preschool staff. And so we had a trainer come in and train our entire preschool staff. And then the very next day, the school shutdown happened. And so, I know, we all remember that. And so all of a sudden I was like, I have to teach social skills on the computer to 3-year-olds. What am I going to do? But Kimochis was great. Like, I was able to create, it's such a good creative curriculum that I was able to create, like, the characters online and have the characters on the screen and do feelings check-ins. And there were lots of ways to adapt it. And I think that was the only thing that helped me with the kids getting through COVID, was having this curriculum. So I kind of taught myself along the way because we weren't in person anymore. And then seeing that it can work online with 3-year-olds, I was like, well, this is really going to work for anybody. So then when we came back, I implemented it in person, and I just saw amazing results. Even with little ones that are nonverbal, that have more moderate to severe autism, you don't have to be verbal to access Kimochis. You can do feelings check-ins by pointing. You can hold the feelings pillows, which I have a basket of there. Just holding the characters and learning the characters' tools. And I will tell one little story about why I know it's super effective is because I was in a classroom that was more moderate to severe with little ones with autism that were nonverbal. And one little boy was having a lot of mad in his body. And he started hitting his head against the door. And I had my little basket of feelings just on my desk inside the classroom. And another one of his friends came over, took the mad pillow from the basket and threw it at the friend that was hitting his head, which is not perfect, right? But it's progress. And the little one that was banging his head picked up the mad and just sat down and held it and stopped hitting his head.
So wins a win.
Yeah, I was like, this is, they're doing it on their own. It stopped the behavior. They understood what to do. They understood each other's feelings. And so to me, I was like, okay, I'm sold. I'm going to use this forever from here on out.
What made you decide to use Kimochis in your work with preschoolers?
Well, okay, we just kind of answered that one. But I think just I'll expand a couple of things because I saw the effectiveness. Mm-hmm. But also it's, like I said, it's research-based and trauma-informed. So it's very defensible in terms of getting school districts to buy into it, so to speak, because it is kind of expensive. Like the whole kit, I think it's $550, and then the books are additional, you know what I mean? So getting a district to invest the money in it, and I've had to write some grants and things like that, which helps for sure. And like today I just had a parent come by and donate a bag of Kimochis that they happen to have. So once the word gets out, but knowing that I can take data on it and that it's research-based and, that really helps in terms of having a curriculum that you can really talk to the parents and the district about can be really helpful. Oh, can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
The other thing was we just found out too that San Francisco Unified has used Kimochis for a long time, and they are doing a joint research with Stanford University on the use of Kimochis and its effectiveness. And so I think the word is getting out a little bit more about how effective it is.
Getting more popular.
Yeah.
That's good.
So, do you have a favorite Kimochi, and do the kids have a favorite one too?
Ooh, that's a good question. Gosh, I don't, everybody has their own favorite. So the Kimochis, all the characters are meant to be fairly gender neutral. We want to use the name of the Kimochi versus any pronouns, which helps the kids identify more with all of them, because it's not necessarily a boy or a girl. It's not mom. It's not dad. It's not grandma. It's grandpa. It's, anyone that has these characteristics. And so that is so tough. I really actually like Bug up there because Bug is a little bit shy. Bug loves to read, and Bug has to use a lot of self-talk, to really motivate and keep up confidence. And I think I see a lot of bug in our students, having to build up their confidence. When I was younger, I felt like I was a bug. And I've done this activity with my husband, and we can do it here if we want to about the characters, but I thought I was a bug. And then he told me that he thought I was a cloud, which I don't think we have cloud in here right now. But cloud is a character that has happy face on one side and then the head turns and it's like a stormy, like sad or mad face on the other side, and clouds, moods change quickly. So you might, kind of think you have these characteristics and other people might view you differently. So it's interesting. And we do this one activity where I kind of describe each of the characters and their attributes. And then you identify which one do you feel like is most like you, or which one do you feel like is most like the most important person in your life, or which one's most like one of your teachers that you like, or one of your teachers you don't like. And so that's fun for the students. But the idea is really that all the characters, we all have a little bit of all of them, and you can relate to all of them in a different way. And I think that's what makes them so effective.
Our next question is, how do you think Kimochis help young children learn and understand their feelings and how to communicate them?
That's a great question. Let's look at the feelings chart. So Kimochis has 3 components. There's the characters, and then each character has feelings in their body. And then there are also what are called tools for communication. So when we were doing our group, like teaching the kids friendly faces, make friendly places. That's a tool for communication, so they understand that. We teach like the communication tap if you want to get someone's attention, or using the friendly signals to let other people know that you're friendly. So there's the characters, there's the tools for communication, and then this to me is like if I did no other part of Kimochis, I would do the feelings check-in. And the feelings is the 3rd component. And this is the thing that's been most effective with the kids is just, helping them identify what feelings are, what they feel like, what they look like. And then the feelings check-in is where you have certain prompts. And so it's kind of training your mind to think about feelings a different way. So you don't say, how are you feeling? Or how are you? You say, what feelings do you have in your body? Because we all have feelings in our body, and the idea is that feelings come and go. So, I had a cousin who is a CEO, and she's, in her 40s, and for her whole life, she thought she just was a mad person. Like, she was just cranky and mad. And, we've been doing this as a family as well, in my family, and, like I said, she's older, and she goes, I now realize that sometimes I have mad in my body, but I'm not at my core a mad person. My feelings come and go. Like I might have mad in the moment, but then I might also have happy or silly or cranky. And so that's super important for the kids to learn, because when you're, ages 0 to 5 and older, all ages, I guess I should say, but especially in the 3 to 5 in the preschool, you can't regulate your emotions independently at this time. It's just not developmentally appropriate. So it's helping them with some co-regulation tools. So someone to really listen to them and ask them, what feelings do you have in your body? And, like I said, it can be nonverbal. They can point. You can use eye gaze, So even if a child has severe motor difficulties, you can enlarge these and use eye gaze to know what feelings. And then, can you tell me the size of your feelings is the second prompt. You could do it with your hands. Usually kids are like, so big, the preschoolers. I have a Hoberman sphere in the feelings basket, and you can make that big and small. So different ways to show the size of your feelings. Yeah, so that's a fun way to do it too. It helps the kids really visualize how big their feelings are. And then when the little ones are more verbal, you can ask, what's your feelings story? What's your mad story? What's your sad story? Or what's your silly story? And it kind of takes the pressure and the kind of the guilt and the blame out of the situation. So if there was an interaction with kids where maybe they were having some aggression, I might say, ooh, it looks like you have a lot of frustration in your body. Tell me this frustrated story. And then they're more likely to interact, because it's not like, what happened? What did you do? You're taking that blame out of it. And so you get a lot more response and interaction. So the feelings check-in is definitely the number 1 tool that helps children with co-regulation. And I do like to teach this to families too, so they can practice it at home. It's super helpful.
Have you ever had a moment were a child surprised you with how they use the Kimochi to express themselves?
Yes. Well, that one in particular that I told about the mad feelings with the little one that was head hitting. But I also had a little one that this was when we were doing remote therapy, and he had a lot of frustration in his body, I thought, and he was hitting and kicking his mom. And so, you know, I'm trying to get the session started, and he's having these really big behaviors towards his mom. And I kept saying, like, oh, you know, you have some mad in your body or sad. I'm trying to like model it, or, you know, what's your story? What's your mad story? And he was getting really frustrated, but he was nonverbal. So he couldn't tell me. And he's like, ugh, hitting mom. And then finally, like, she pulls out their little feelings chart at home, and he does this. And he's like, and I was like, oh, you have frustrated in your body because you wanted to play with mom, but now, you know, it's time for our lesson, and now you have disappointed in your body. And he was like, you know, big head nod. But like without this, he wouldn't be able to express it. And it wasn't. He was very clear that it was not like mad and sad. That was not what was happening. He understood like these more, what I would say, complicated emotions of frustrated and disappointed. And he was 13 and not verbal. So it's impressive. It's really impressive.
How do you involve teachers and families into the Kimochi approach to help reinforce emotional learning?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we do a lot. I mean, the teachers have all been trained as well. So, you know, they're on board. They see it. They use it in their classroom as well. So I am with the kids teaching the lessons once a week, but they're reinforcing those lessons all week long. And so we all have a common language in the preschool, which is the Kimochis. And then the parent training, we have parent trainings once a month, and Kimochis is one of those topics that we go over. I also always offer parents one-on-one Zoom calls to teach them how to do the feelings check-ins, just whenever it's convenient for them. And then I do a little model feelings check-in at open house, like when we come back, or back to school night, and then also at open house. It's always in every single report that I write as far as recommendations go. And so I think it's an ongoing training. I think the modeling is really important for teachers and parents. Once they see someone else do it, then they're like, oh, I can do that. You know, which is really helpful to have somebody work with your students or with your child and show how to do it, and then they can take it on.
If you could create a new Kimochi character or feeling, what would it be and why?
Ooh, that's a good question. There are in the feelings, maybe hold up the feelings basket. In the feelings, these are the feelings pillows. And on here, sorry, that was the walkie. There are blank feelings, because obviously, like, these are not all the feelings in the world, right? There's tons of feelings out there. But this helps the kids if they're saying a feeling, or I'm trying to express a feeling that we don't have. We can always use the blank feelings. Like with Hero, Hero was very adventurous, and we didn't have an adventurous feeling. And so we made our, you know, I don't have it with me right now, but we made our own adventurous feeling. And so that's already kind of built into it. But another character, that's such a good question. I don't know if I have an answer to that. They cover it so well, you know, and they're so good. I will say there was a STEM activity that Kimochis put out with a little character called Egbert. And it was like the egg floats science experiment. You guys kind of seen that, where you add salt to the water, and yeah. So I think it would be fun to have kind of like a really like sciencey kind of character, like an Egbert or something like that related more to maybe like school activities and how, you know, reinforcing like how to do hard things. I think that would be a fun character. But honestly, I haven't thought about that. That's a good question.
Kimochis are designed for younger kids, but have you ever thought or tried about adopting them for teens, and what would that look like in middle or the high school?
Good question. Well, there is the elementary curriculum, and I think, it works great in elementary as well, but I honestly think there should be a middle and a high school curriculum, because this would easily be applicable. The feelings check-in and the feelings pillows, I feel like everybody would love. The characters may or may not be for everybody, you know what I mean? Depending on, I think the characters would probably work in individual sessions where there wasn't maybe that peer, you know, maybe a little bit teasing or whatever. But I don't know. I think it's possible with the characters. I would probably introduce them individually first, and then maybe work them into small groups. But I think doing the feelings check-in at middle and high school would be so valuable. And I do a family summer camp. It's with my family, but I mean it has kids ages 2 all the way up to like my aunt and uncle that's in their 60s, and we do the feelings check-in. And I'm always surprised by how quick the kids pick it up and how open they are about their feelings, and how hard it is for the grown-ups, especially the older they get, because they just didn't have this, and you didn't talk about your feelings, right? And so, every time I do this with my uncle who's in his 60s, he gets choked up and can barely say the feelings he has in his body. And so I think, what if we had this like from the beginning all the way through high school? You would be so much more prepared to be a good communicator and to be able to truly express your feelings. It's my wish. It's my dream. And the creator of Kimochis, she actually retired, but she was doing a lot of trying to introduce Kimochis with police officers and paramedics and emergency room workers, just because those are such high stress situations. And when your emotions go high, your cognitive and your communication skills reduce. And so having this as a tool in emergency situations to help people communicate, could be really helpful. I don't know that it's caught on yet, but I know she's trying, because it could be very useful. But what do you guys think about this in junior high or high school?
I mean, I would have liked to have, I would have loved to have this in middle school and especially high school too. Yeah. Being able to express my feelings and stuff with little squishies and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would help a lot more with the middle school more than the high school. But I don't know, some high school kids could like it too. I feel like Vicente would enjoy that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was kind of like what Mackenzie said. I feel like some high schoolers would probably kind of put it off more, but I feel like the middle schoolers, they would also probably help them. And kind of feel like all teenagers, they kind of
have a lot of big feelings.
Yes, and they don't even to show them, and it's just a way to express it slightly more understanding.
And I think so at high school too, and it happens at the preschool as well, but there's always kids that are a little aversive at first, but even if the kids aren't interacting immediately with it, they're still absorbing it. Mm-hmm. And so at middle and high school too, it's kind of something to keep in mind, even though maybe they act like they don't like it or they're too cool for it or whatever, they're still taking in the information and it's still helpful. I mean, we have one little one that you just saw in the preschool who's been with us since August, and he did not participate until the last 4 weeks. But he took it all in, and now he's doing all of it. So, I think, and that's the thing with the feelings check-in too, and any of the activities we do, it's always optional. If you don't want to do your feelings check-in today, that's okay. You never want to force people to express their feelings, because that can be sometimes more traumatic, but you just hope that they're still listening and learning.
If you could spend a day as one of the Kimochis, which one would you be, and what kind of mischief or magic would you get up to at preschool?
Oh, what a fun idea. I would probably, I would probably like to be Hugtopus, because Hugtopus is super silly, and Hugtopus just loves all of Hugtopus's friends. Hugtopus is big, physically affectionate, lots of hugs and over exuberant, maybe some tackles. Hugtopus gets very, very excited and wants to play with everything and play with everybody. And as an adult, one of the things I love about preschool is I've learned to play again and to be silly again, which is not really my personality. I'm a little bit more serious and a little bit more reserved. But if I could have just a little bit of Hugtopus, and learn how to be even more silly and more playful, I would love that.
Before Michaela does the outro, it's Brianna's last podcast with us because she graduated.
That's so nice. Thank you guys. Do you guys want to do you want to model a feelings check-in? Yes. Since we're here and we're doing it. And if you want, you could either use the pillow or the feelings chart. But this is just good for everybody to learn right now. So I'll ask Brianna, what feelings do you have in your body?
Right now I'm very excited and I'm very happy right now.
Ooh, do you want to hold your excited or your happy?
Um,
Let's see. Here's an excited. Here's a happy. Oh, it's fun to hold your feelings. How big is your happy?
I would say is that like an 100% today. Very
Okay.
happy today.
And how big is your excited?
I'm very excited today, honestly. Very excited.
Okay. Do you want to tell your feelings story?
I'm very happy because I just graduated high school. So I'm very nervous. I'm also very happy because I get to start my next chapter in life. And I'm really excited because I also just got a new job yesterday. So I'm very excited to start that.
Yeah, I love it. Gavin, would you like to share your
I'm gonna say the same thing, happy and excited, really.
happy
Because
and excited?
I'm just glad that y'all let us come up here, gave us your time, and let us come up here and work with the kids.
Perfect. Do you want to hold your happy or excited?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
And how big is your happy and your excited feelings?
I say 100 right now.
Oh, perfect. And you already told your feeling story. So sometimes that happens too as you go along. The feeling story might come out when you're talking about the feelings. So it doesn't have to be exactly in order either. Would you like to share your feelings?
Yeah, like Brianna and Gavin both said, like I'm very happy,
What
very
about happy
excited.
and excited?
Yeah, because I was just very happy to like come and teach the kids like the little yoga story and just to see how the kids interact with like the Kimochis. It was really cool seeing.
They love it.
Yeah,
How big is your happy and you're excited?
very high.
Very big today. I love it. We call these easy to have feelings. So some feelings are easy to have, and then there's also feelings that are harder to have. And that's okay. We have all these feelings in our body. What feelings do you have?
Kind of like them. I'm gonna do a little different. Excited and grateful.
Excited and grateful. Love it. And how big is your excited and how big is your grateful?
Both, I guess, like this big, 100%.
Do you want to tell your excited or your grateful story?
I'm excited and grateful that I got to come here today and hang out with the kids. They were fun.
Perfect. I'm going to let you hold your feelings. There you go. Okay, perfect. So that's how you do a feelings check-in. It's very useful. You can take this and do this with your families at home and see how well they can do. We'll see.
Okay, well, that's a wrap of today's episode of the Psychology Club. A huge thanks to our guest, Samantha Hodges, and for sharing insightful and inspiring stories about working with preschoolers and the magic of Kimochis, whether it's helping little ones name their feelings, coaching families on connection, or imagining how Kimochis might work for teens. We learned that emotional learning starts early and it can be pretty adorable too. If you liked what you heard, be sure to follow and leave us a review and share this episode with a friend who might need a little extra emotional vocabulary today. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and remember, feelings are friends.
And thank you guys. Your yoga lesson was amazing.
Thank you for being nice.